All right, today we're looking at types of probability. There's 3 types of probability that we're going to look at. The first type is classical probability or theoretical probability. This is used when each outcome is equally likely to occur. In theory, what should happen? The probability of an event happen equals the number of outcomes in event E divided by the total number of outcomes in the sample space, or the number of desired outcomes divided by the total outcomes. Theoretical probability or classical probability is what you would expect based on the numbers of things, like rolling a die. When you roll a die, you have 6 choices, 1 through 6. What's the probability that you roll a 4? Well, there's 1 4 out of 6. So your number of outcomes in event E would be rolling a 4. You have 1 of those, whereas you have 6 total. Another probability we have is empirical probability or statistical probability. This is based on observations obtained from probability experiments. In this, the probability of the event happening equals the frequency of event E divided by the total frequency, or F divided by N. And what this means is, if I take this die and I roll it several times, 100 times, okay, well, if I roll it 100 times, I may not get the exact probabilities that the classical probabilities might say that it would happen. Or let's look at it this way. The probability that I flip a coin and I get a head. Okay, there's 1 head out of 2 total. So that's a 1/2. That's classical probability. That's what you would expect to happen. But if I do it several times, empirical probability, so suppose I roll this die or flip this coin 50 times. I do this 50 times. Well, I may not exactly have half of them to be heads. I may find out that my probability of getting a head ended up being 30 over 50. I might have got it 30 times out of 50. These two right here are not always equal. Sometimes they might, but they're not usually. Now, if you have this right here, the law of large numbers. The law of large numbers says if I keep flipping this coin over and over and over and over and do it thousands and thousands, even millions of times, the law of large numbers says that my empirical probability will end up equaling my classical probability. But the basic thing between these two, classical probability is what you would expect to happen, whereas empirical probability is what did happen based on some experiments you did. Okay? Then we have the third kind, which is subjective probability. Subjective probability results from intuition, educated guesses, and estimates. These are things that people with experience might be able to give a probability of something or whatever. Like example here. Given a patient's health and extent of injuries, a doctor may feel that the patient has a 90% chance of a full recovery. This is based on his intuition or his educated guesses or his estimates. So that's what a subjective probability is. All right. Well, hey, let's look at some questions here and see if we can figure out what they are. Okay. We're going to figure out in this instance right here, which probability are we looking at? So according to company records, the probability that a washing machine will need repairs during a 4-year period is 0.05. Okay. Well, based on the company records, this is what they're saying is going to happen. Oops, it's not all on there. Okay. This is empirical. This is an empirical probability because it's based on their records. This is what's happened in the past, so based on what's happened in the past, this is what they expect for the future. So let's see, I think it's right here. The stated probability is calculated based on observations from the company records. Okay. Well, what about this next one, number 2? Okay. The probability of choosing 6 numbers from 1 to 59 that matched 6 numbers drawn by a certain lottery is this right here. So this is your chances. This is your chances of correctly picking the 6 numbers of the lottery. All right, this is an example of, well, this is classical probability. This is what you would expect to happen based on the numbers. Okay, so right here, every combination of 6 numbers has an equal chance of being drawn. Okay, it's not based on observations. See this right here, this is empirical probability, but this is classical. Okay, this answer is classical. All right, what about number 3? An analyst feels that a certain stock's probability of increasing in price over the next month is 0.67. All right, the key word here is this analyst feels this. He feels it. Okay, which means to me this is subjective probability. It's based on his feelings. All right, so right here, the stated probability is most likely based on his intuition, his educated guess, and estimate. That's what he feels. Okay. Number 4. According to a survey, the probability that an adult chosen at random is in favor of a sprinkling ban is about 0.54, according to a survey. Okay, according to a survey here. This is empirical because you've done some experiments. You've gotten a survey. All right, so that tells me then right here, the stated probability is calculated based on observations of adults' opinions. Okay, it's like a survey or an experiment, which is empirical. All right, number 5. Classify the following statement here. The probability that a random selected number from 1 to 400 is divisible by 9 is 0.11. Okay, well, this looks like classical. This is classical because you've got the chances of something happening based on what the numbers are. And let's see here. Right here. Every number from 1 to 400 has an equal chance of being divisible by 9. Okay. One more. Number 6. You think, right off, you think that a hockey team's probability of winning its next game is 0.83. Okay, this is subjective because you're thinking this. This is based on your intuition. So, right here. Most likely based on intuition or educated guess or an estimate. Okay. Anyway, that's our types of probability. So, holler at me if you need any help on anything, all right? Have a good rest of the day.